Imagine a love story that lasted 35 years. It's a marriage that survived raising 4 children, building a home in coastal California, and navigating the unpredictable nature of life. Then imagine that love story being systematically dismantled, not by infidelity or finances, but by cable news, talk radio, and the relentless, suffocating pressure of partisan politics. This is the story of the Mitchell family. A family that had everything until they realized they fundamentally disagreed on how the world should be governed. Robert Mitchell, 64, was a staunch Republican. He believed in individual liberty, fiscal conservatism, and distrusted centralized government. Eleanor Mitchell, 61, was a passionate Democrat. She championed social programs, climate justice, and believed in community responsibility. For decades, these differences were trivial, confined to polite disagreements over dinner, easily softened by a shared bottle of wine or a laugh over the children's antics. But in the volatile political climate of the last few years, the gentle disagreements turned into ideological warfare. Every news headline became a battleground. Every conversation a minefield. The political became fiercely personal. If this story of political division already has you feeling uneasy, we need your support. We're on a mission to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year. Please hit that subscribe button and notification bell. Your support helps us share powerful stories like this. Thank you. The marriage fractured slowly under the weight of unrelenting hostility. It wasn't the policies that broke them. It was the contempt. Robert began to view Eleanor as naive and fiscally irresponsible. Eleanor started seeing Robert as uncaring and morally compromised. They stopped sharing the daily details of their lives. They stopped looking at each other. They stopped seeing the person they loved and started seeing the political enemy. The final argument came during a Sunday brunch. Robert dismissed Eleanor's view on climate change as hysterical liberal nonsense. Eleanor called Robert a willfully ignorant bigot. The words were venomous, unforgivable. They stood up, pushed their chairs back, and realized, with a devastating clarity, that they were strangers. The divorce was finalized 6 months later. The tragedy of the political divide didn't end with the parents. Their 4 adult children, Mark 40, Sarah 38, Emily 36, and David 34, were cleaved in two as well. Mark and Emily sided with their mother, Eleanor, seeing her arguments as morally grounded. Sarah and David stood by their father, Robert, defending his practical and economic views. The family text chain, once a source of joyful chaos, became silent. Holidays were split, alternating between tents. Carefully scheduled visits that felt more like diplomatic negotiations than family gatherings. The children argued amongst themselves, mirroring the animosity that destroyed their parents' marriage. They were all wounded, all deeply unhappy, and all equally convinced that the political purity of their position was worth the emotional wreckage of their family. 5 years passed. Robert and Eleanor lived separately in California, adhering to a strict, unspoken agreement: minimal contact, maximum civility. They communicated only for major financial or legal necessities. But beneath the surface of their guarded interactions, the raw hurt remained. They still loved each other. That much was undeniable to their children, but they were too proud, too wounded, and too afraid to admit that the political spectacle they bought into was far less important than the simple, enduring warmth of their own home. Their separation became a stark, painful testament to the cost of letting ideology become identity. If you're still with us, you feel the heartbreaking weight of this family's isolation. We want to ask for your subscription. We're working toward 1,000 subscribers by year-end, and your help is fundamental. Please hit subscribe and the bell. Thank you. Now let's continue. The 4 children watched this painful stalemate for too long. They missed their family. They missed the shared laughter, the chaos of a full house, and the uncomplicated love they once took for granted. They realized that their parents' separation was a choice, not an inevitability, and that the choice was rooted in stubborn pride. The year was 2024. The holiday was Thanksgiving. The four siblings decided to stage an intervention. Mark, the oldest, took the lead. They planned a day of forced interaction. The plan was meticulous. No political talk was allowed under penalty of immediate removal. The day began with a morning hike in the Marin Headlands, a place both parents loved but hadn't visited together in years. Robert and Eleanor were awkward, walking 20 feet apart, only speaking through their children. Next was a mandatory family cooking session at Emily's house. A flurry of forced collaboration designed to break the ice through shared tasks, peeling potatoes, kneading dough, setting the massive table. The tension was thick, punctuated only by the occasional nervous laughter of the grandchildren, who were blissfully unaware of the emotional landmines surrounding them. The final phase was the dinner itself. The table was full 6 Mitchells, plus spouses and grandchildren. Beautiful, it's a messy picture of the family they were and the family they could be. Before the meal, Mark stood up to give the traditional Thanksgiving toast. He spoke not of gratitude for food or health, but of gratitude for silence. "We are thankful," he said, looking pointedly at his parents, "that today we chose to listen with our hearts instead of arguing with our opinions. We are thankful that we have remembered the difference between a cable news opinion and a human being." The speech broke the dam. Eleanor was the first to speak. She looked at Robert, her voice trembling but clear. "Robert," she began, her liberal identity momentarily receding, leaving only the woman who loved him. "I missed the man who taught our sons how to fish. And I am so sorry that I let my fear of the world make me forget who you are. I am sorry for the contempt I showed." Robert, the conservative patriarch, looked back at the woman who had shared his bed for 3 decades. His political fire dimmed. "Eleanor," he replied, his voice rough with unshed tears, "I am sorry that I let my principles become my prison. I am sorry that I forgot that love is the only principle that truly matters. I missed my best friend." In that moment, the ideological walls crumbled. The Democrats and Republicans, the liberals and conservatives, melted away, leaving only Robert and Eleanor, a husband and wife who had tragically misplaced their love in the noise of the world. They reached across the table, took each other's hands, and began a quiet, honest conversation about the devastating price of their pride. They spoke for an hour, admitting the exhaustion of the battle, the shame of their contempt, and the unbearable ache of 5 years of separation. The reconciliation was beautiful, raw, and completely non-political. They didn't agree to stop being a Republican or a Democrat. They agreed to stop letting the titles define their worth. They decided to remarry. The room erupted in an explosion of cheers, tears, and celebration. The 4 children, the divided siblings, hugged, crying with relief for the family that was finally, unequivocally, whole again. The story of the Mitchells became a national sensation. It was covered by major news outlets and discussed in every online forum. But the message that resonated wasn't about politics. It was about priorities. The lesson was clear. Tolerance is not about agreeing with someone's opinion. It is about agreeing with their right to exist in your life, regardless of their opinion. Robert and Eleanor taught their children that true strength lies not in winning an argument, but in preserving a relationship. They proved that before we engage in the endless, exhausting battle of political ideology, we must first agree to value the human connection. We can improve the world, not by changing the minds of those we disagree with, but by changing our own behavior. We must choose love over contempt and human dignity over political dogma. The Mitchell family found their new beginning, proving that Thanksgiving and life itself is about coming home. Thank you for watching the Mitchell family's story of reconciliation. Please subscribe and see you soon.